Right now we're going to talk about how to grow a state's economy. You know, the national unemployment rate is at 9.2%. But Nebraska has managed to keep its own rate at less than half the national average throughout the recession. Right now, in fact, it's at 4.1%. So could Nebraska's strategies work on a national level? The governor, Dave Heineman, joins us now from Lincoln. He's the new chair, by the way, of the National Governors Association as well. Governor, thank you very much for coming on. We appreciate it.
I'm delighted to be with you.
If you had to pick out one or two policies, because we're trying to say this is good news that you've been able to do better than many states around the country. If you had to pick out one or two policies that could go national, what would they be?
They would simply be this: focus on job creation. You do that by making your state or the nation more business friendly. We've controlled our spending. We've lowered taxes. And at the end of the day, we've invested in the two most important priorities: education and jobs. Give your kids the best education you can give them, and then create jobs to keep them in your state. That's exactly what we've done. From agriculture to insurance and finance, from technology to transportation. And again, think if America's unemployment rate were the same as Nebraska, we'd be generating more revenues for the federal government because we'd have an expanding economy.
Tell me this, where did you cut? You talked about what you invested in, and sometimes we get, and Bob Bennett was kind of making reference to this, sometimes Republicans say cut, and don't want to spend any money, say there's no money there to be spent. So you had to cut enough to give yourself money to spend. So you cut what to still spend on education and other things?
We cut lower priority programs. For example, I made the difficult decision, the legislature backed me, to eliminate local government aid to cities, counties, and natural resource districts. It was less than 1% of their budget. It was an asterisk. I used to serve in local government. We never asked about it. And we took that money and put it in state aid to education. Those are the kinds of decisions you have to make. And again, in most cases, it's slowing the rate of government spending. You know, I get a kick out of Washington, D.C. I used to work there in the mid-'80s. Yeah. If the baseline is supposed to go up 8%, but it only goes up 5%, they call that a 3% cut. Most Americans call that a 5% increase.
Yeah, the numbers out. Well, I mean, the numbers are an absolute joke. We did our show from there on Friday, and everybody's got their own set of numbers, basically coming back to the same place, saying the same thing in 5 different ways, and you can't make any sense out of what anybody is saying. But at the same time, they are going to cut spending down there. I mean, everybody agrees on that. It's just a matter of how much they're going to cut it. Will that hurt you as a governor of a state, that there's less federal spending coming your way, or no?
We fully expect that, and if they're fair and equitable and reasonable about that, I'm perfectly willing to deal with that. My farmers and ranchers have said they'll take a cut in their agriculture subsidies if they're fair and reasonable. Our ethanol plants, again, if they phase out these tax credits, they're prepared to deal with it. The American people do this every day with their family budget, with their business budget. And again, at the federal level, I would suggest they need, like 44 other states have, a constitutional amendment to balance the budget. Now, at the federal level, you need a few exclusions for, a war or time of national emergency. But if they had that, that would force the priority decisions that they ought to make, that governors make every day throughout the country.
Doesn't look like the votes are there in the Senate right now for that, even though it passed the House. Governor Heineman, thank you very much for coming on today. We appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.